Welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I'm your host, Tim Rausenberger, and today is Thursday, September 5th, 2019. This is episode 312, The 5 Elements of Music. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me on this first Thursday of September. For many people throughout the state of New Jersey, I should say the students, their first day of school. So congratulations to all on making it through your first day. If it was your second or third day, or you have been in school for a little while, well, hopefully you made it through the day, and I appreciate you tuning in and joining us. As always, if you can take a little gander there in the chat and let us know that you're out there. It'd be great to see people involved and asking different types of questions. I'm going to certainly have a lot of questions for all of you tonight. If you can give me that nice thumbs up for the episode right now, that would be fantastic. And as always, any types of comments that you could make about the episodes, or just sharing the episode with other friends that are around that you know are not doing anything else terribly productive with their life, get them involved. That would be so absolutely terrific. And I have to agree here with some of the people in the chat. You know what? Yeah, we do got that new haircut going on. The kids call it the fade. And what happened was I was getting the haircut I don't know when it was, last Saturday, Sunday, and they did it. And when they finished, I looked at the woman who completed. She did a great job, and I said, more. And she just looked at me. I said, we're going further, and whatever happens, happens, and I'm happy with it. Looking, I guess, kind of spiffy, so something a little bit different. A lot of my the older students that I teach have not seen it yet, so I guess this is the first time they're encountering me with this new hairstyle. So hopefully everybody's enjoying it, and we have gone with the truly musical tie. This is like the I guess they call it like the musical dork, musical geek type of tie here. So we got that going on here tonight, and so lots of really fun things, some exciting news that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. I do want to start off, and I don't want to get super serious, but I want to certainly get this out of the way. And I think that this is very important to discuss for everyone. And there are some people in the chat that will probably have an idea of why I'm discussing this right now. And then there are some other people that may not understand, and that's totally and completely okay. But as you know, I am first and foremost an educator, and I certainly, my medium is music. So with tonight's episode, you're going to definitely get the best of both worlds in terms of how I approach this particular topic of 5 elements of music. But I do want to step into the life lesson category just for a moment and just go just a teeny bit off topic, and it's not going to be for long because I have a lot of exciting things about the 5 elements tonight. The school year has just started, and this is your opportunity, as I said in one of the previous episodes, about going back to school, where it's a fresh start for everyone, and it's an opportunity to be able to take control of your situation, take control of your life, your surroundings. In the case of students, if you didn't have the best year last year, or maybe you finished the year not as well as you would have liked, it's a golden opportunity to get that new beginning. And with that, with some students, there comes stress, but it's the type of stress that I think some people can overcome with the right guidance. And what I say, I say this to students all the time, that the worst people to talk to about issues that you're having, whatever those issues are people who simply cannot help you. Gossiping about whatever situation you have going on in your life serves no purpose. Feeling sorry for yourself serves no purpose. Uh, Bemoaning a situation or getting down about things that are beyond our control serves no purpose. So with all of that said, I certainly hope that everyone here in the chat and anyone else who's going to be tuning in later on, that it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter your background, but if you're in a situation, whatever the case may be, and I'm just thinking of the new school year right now, where uh, you are unhappy about something, where you have that opportunity for the new beginning, and you're already unhappy about something, you don't just give up. That's not the way that we do it, and that's certainly not the way. If you're into the podcast here, you know that that's definitely not the way that I approach things. I always take whatever issue we have, and we try to find a solution right away, and rather than complain about the situation. And there's nothing wrong with venting. Venting's okay. I had a student who vented, totally let loose, had a lot on their mind, had just let it out. And then after they vented, I said, okay, let's attack the problem. Let's get down to what we need to do. And I'm telling you, it was less than 10 minutes. It was less than 10 minutes. Person felt so much better. And it was this particular student did reach out to me, but there are a lot of people who don't reach out to anyone. And the people that do reach out to are people who are either not going to be able to help them or gossip. And that just doesn't do anything. So if you're a student, for instance, you just started, you had your very first day of class, you're really, really unhappy with your classes, you can do something about that. You certainly have options available if you are in high school or above. Absolutely, you have options available to you. If you are in a smaller high school, your options are a little more limited because there might be less course or class offerings to be able to make changes within your schedule, things that you don't like. But if you are in a larger high school where there are a lot of teachers, where there are a lot of classes, then there's a really strong chance that changes can be made, and the change should be made soon. Don't wait. Don't wait on it. If you already can sense your surroundings and you know you better than anyone else, and if it's going to need to maybe take, if you're a high school student, need to get your family involved, then do it. And I'm not saying that for students to go storming guidance counselor offices. That's not my point. But what I will say is, if you're unhappy about something, speak to someone about it and see what type of action can be taken. And that really just applies to everything in life. And I hope that you're going to take that advice. And if it's the first time you're ever hearing me in one of these episodes, now you get the essence of what I am all. So with new beginnings is a new beginning for me. People know I recently received my education from Adams State University. Yay, Adams State. It was truly an amazing experience, and immediately the education that I've received is going into my teaching. It actually went right into my teaching today, and that was extremely exciting for me. I am now, I can't believe this, I am now entering my 25th year as a teacher. That's just completely crazy. But 25 years as a teacher, a quarter of a century. And I am throwing in my student teaching with that, but I did a lot of teaching during my student teaching. As a matter of fact, usually with your student teaching, the teacher's in the room with you, and my cooperating teacher was nowhere to be found a lot of the time. So I was absolutely teaching on my own. So it's been 25 years now. And I've had the privilege to be able to teach so many different students at so many different levels. And it made me think about this particular episode and this particular topic, the 5 elements of music. My new surroundings, my new beginning is what I'd like to call, for lack of a better word, my stomping grounds, which is elementary. And I was absolutely elated when I was presented a remarkable opportunity to uh, go into an elementary school where they've uh, been looking for a teacher who's going to be able to bring this type of experience, and I'm really really honored to be able to be a part of the team, because I think that elementary music is critically important to the development of any child. Way too often there is a lot of emphasis that is put on college and high school, but and even in some cases middle school. But everything starts in elementary school, and I think that sometimes people lose sight of that. Uh, Self-esteem is established for any human being within the first 7 to 8 years of their life. I think that's worth repeating. Self-esteem and the understanding of that person's confidence and what it gets instilled inside of them is established within the first 7 to 8 years of your life. So who are the people that you're around during that time? Well, you're around, of course, your family, and you might be around some friends, but the other people you're around are people in school. So when I think today about teaching first graders and teaching second graders, it's so important to me. And one of the things that I had said to them before I got into today's lesson was, you are going to grade me. And I had 6-year-olds looking at me like I was out of my mind, aside from the fact that that tooth is still missing. What is that all about? But one of the things I said to them, I said, you're going to grade me on how well I say your names. And I put my long last name on the board, and they were like, whoa. And I said, a lot of people have made so many mistakes with my name over the years, and it's not a hard name to say. And I said, you guys can say it. And they, of course, nailed it, just like all my other students do. Always are the ones that say my name better than anyone else. And some people just call me Mr. R, and that's fine. But I felt really, really great about the fact that I got their names and I took the time and I invested the time in making sure they know that, because I said that your name is your identity. It's a really, really important part of you, and that's something that I think even some of us here there who are watching the episode now or later, that you'll have your name mispronounced, and depending on who the person is, I sometimes will politely correct them, and sometimes I'm not so polite about it if they're very, very dismissive. So yeah, so that's a very, very important thing. So yeah, so today was an amazing, incredible day at an elementary school. I taught a first grade class, second grade, third grade, fifth grade, and just had the greatest time. And I'm going to talk a little bit uh, about the lesson that I taught today and how it ties into the 5 elements of music. Before we get into the 5 elements of music, I need to say hello to all the incredible people in the chat here. So, as always, a hello to the great Alice. Although I have to say, I did so much baby sharking today. OMG. I did a lot of baby sharking today, so I know all about this. We were doing a lot of this in class today, and they were loving it. So thank you so much to Alice, as always, for being such a wonderful moderator. Jessica, great to see you here tonight. Michelle, a regular, of course. Jared, good to see you back. Hello, Jennifer Lazo. Wonderful as always. Sarai, I am so elated to tell you I met another Sarai today. It is true. I met another Sarai. lacking the H, but another Sarai. So that was really, really cool. And I got the student's name on the first try, and she was so excited. A tinting, hello to you. Mabel, great to see you. And Michelle, just to quickly address what you said there, make an episode about becoming a teacher. Absolutely. I am happy to do that. And I can certainly do that very, very soon. I think I probably owe everyone that cooking episode before I do that. So I'm hoping to do that soon. Today was a little bit chaotic with the first day of school and getting everything all set up. So hopefully I'll have the cooking episode very, very soon. Okay, so let's get right into it here. The 5 elements of music. Hello, Watermelon. So, 5 elements of music. Do you know what the 5 elements of music are? Do you know what the most important components of music are? I played some music at the very, very beginning, and some of you are just joining me now. I'm going to put that music back on for just a moment. I can't bake. Sorry, Giselle. I can't bake. A 5-star meal. I don't know about that. I'm sorry. I'm getting very distracted by the chat today. I'll be better. I'll be a better podcast host. I'm going to put that music back on. And now for the people who just tuned in, I want you to listen to it again and tell me what it is that you hear. What do you think are the vital things in this music? I had a lot of people who said, well, it's a tune. I had other people say, well, it's music. But there's got to be more to it. When I went to put on the Baby Shark song today, before the Baby Shark song went on, before the first note was sung, the kids in the room knew the song right away. Do you know how they knew the song? Because those little dings, those little ding sounds that are made before the song starts, the kids recognized it immediately. They knew those sounds. So those sounds said, oh, he's going to play the Baby Shark song. So my question to you now is, with what you're hearing, what are those elements? What's the secret sauce that makes that music sound the way that it does? Let's put this music on. The title of this happens to be Eyes of Glory. I don't know who composed it. Looks like, the composer's name is Akash Gandhi. I don't know who that is, but at any rate, let's take a listen to it again. And what is it that you hear? All right, so I'm not even going to go any further. Let's just start right there. What was it that you heard right off the bat? Right off the bat. Okay, so you're getting the sense of a battlefield. Terrific. Okay, so what is giving you the sense of the battlefield right away? What's giving you that sense? So a tinting absolutely nailed rhythm. Okay, and I love the fact that he spelled it correctly, because too many people spell rhythm incorrectly. So rhythm is a very, very important component of music. Okay, and the rhythm, the beat, of course, as Watermelon just said, is tied into the rhythm. Now, Giselle says something very interesting, though. She says she hears a battlefield. So now my question is, within the beat that's established and within that particular rhythm, how is it that you can tell, or how do you get the sense of it being a battlefield in your mind? Okay, so the snare beat is persistent. Okay, that's fair. So one thing you'll notice about the rhythm right off the bat, let's go back to the beginning. Hang on. Okay, so all we have is dot 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 dot. So all you're dealing with, the rhythm basically here: eighth rest, eighth quarter quarter, eighth rest, eighth quarter quarter. That's all you're dealing with. It's just a very, very basic rhythm. But that one and the specific drum that's being used here gives you the sense that there's something that could be there's moving forward. There's some type of impending doom, or there's going to be some type of a fight that may be ensuing. So the idea of the battlefield it certainly makes a lot of sense. Do we hear anything else besides those drums at the beginning? Is there anything else that you happen to hear? Anything else besides the drums? Did we hear anything else? We heard the drums. I did cut it off early intentionally. Did you hear anything else besides the drums? I'll put it on one more time for you. Just like I absolutely can, Giselle. And we call that, by the way, in music, for those of you who are writing your lesson plans, we call that differentiation. Okay. And one of the things that you're going to put certain types of strategies for differentiation, uh, playing a song several times so people are able to hear it. I'm asking you lots of questions about the music. All right. How about the teacher zip the lip and just play the music and let the students listen to it and discern for themselves, rather than having them try to recall something that was played 5 minutes ago? They may not have heard everything. So let's put it back on. To be fair, this is the first time that I've ever played this song too. So I'm analyzing with you. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Whoop. Oh, be quiet. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Were you able to hear anything else besides those drums? There was something else going on besides the drums. Were you able to hear it? Because that's something that's very, very important, which also is establishing and again, it might be a little difficult to in terms of the transmission that we're having over YouTube and the video itself, because unfortunately, with the way that I have it set up, I am actually doing it with a Bluetooth speaker right now, with the way that my setup is. So there are certain sounds you may not be able to hear them as clearly, and I don't want to put the speaker too close because then I don't want anybody to go deaf. So you hear something metal. All right, I'm going to go back just one more time. Isn't this fascinating? We're just taking just this small chunk of music and we just keep on, we're finding out all these different types of things. Look at all the analysis that we're doing. Now, if you're dealing with upper grades, and I'm dealing obviously primarily with high school students and adults here in the chat, we can have these types of discussions. When you're talking to middle school students, you're talking to younger children, you're not going to get the specific. They will get very, very bored very, very quickly. So we don't go completely crazy. We don't have to be very specific and say that is a snare drum and the snare drum is being struck with size 2B drumsticks. No, we don't need to get into that. That's not necessary. It just isn't. We can just establish that it's a drum. If you want to get into the size of the sticks and the type of drum head that was used and whether the snares were on and off, you want to get into that later, that's fine. I think that sometimes teachers in all subject areas, but particularly music teachers, we can sometimes focus too much on the minutia that just isn't important in the big picture. Just establish that they're drums. Let them feel good in knowing that they know that those are drums. But we also have some other instruments in the background, and I don't know how well you can hear them, but there are some string instruments in the background. Just listen again. Let's go back. So what we have here is and it's just the strings. And in this particular case, my question is, we know that the rhythm has now been established. What is that? Okay, I told you that it was strings, and in this case, I guess it sounds like we're probably dealing with like cellos. They're probably making that sound, whether it's a synthesized sound or their actual cellos. Right now, somewhat irrelevant. Okay, and then we also I did see that Attenting said there's a synth. A synth wave with its filter being lowered and its volume progressively gets, you usually hear this, you hear that going on. So it's probably synthesized, but what is the purpose? Why are those string instruments there going the what's the point of that? Why did the composer put it in there? Why didn't the composer just jut 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 Why not just the snare drum sound, or whatever drum is being used in this particular case? It might be. It sounds like snare drums with the snares off in this particular case. Good. Okay, so we're dealing certainly suspense. Okay, so just it's not just the drums playing with the battlefield type of sound. It's the build up to a dramatic point. So if you're composing, and this is where you can get into it a little bit further, and even with younger kids, you can explain. Wow, do you hear how this is getting more and more exciting? And Sarah even mentions, so we can clearly transition to the next part of the song. So we actually, in this case, it's more like an introduction. So we're going to have the introduction, and then we're going to find out what's going to happen next. My question to you, when you heard this at the very beginning, this is to everyone in the chat. When you heard this at the very beginning, like first 10, 15 seconds, did you say to yourself, ugh, why is he playing this? Or did you say to yourself, I want to hear more? And if you say that you wanted to hear more, why? Why did you want to hear more? Or did you say, ugh, he's playing this, I don't want to listen to that? Let's see if we have any thoughts here about that. Did you want to listen to more, or did you say, ugh, wish he'd just move on to another song altogether? Because this is not the only song we're going to do. We're going to take a listen to some other pieces this evening. So Jared wants to hear more. Now, Jared, to be fair, Jared's a percussionist, so I don't know. Michelle says she wants to hear more. A Tinting wants to hear more. Okay, so the composer has done his job well. He says it's not because of that. More, please. I wanted to hear more because most of the songs that start out that way when the beat drops, it's amazing. Okay, so let's hear what happens next. But we still didn't establish, and we have to address this. And again, if you're teaching younger students, we don't obsess over it, but we address it, because we don't want to ignore the fact that those strings are there, that we have those strings. And if the students don't get it right away, that's okay. You help them out and you say, hey, did you hear those strings? Oh yeah, do you hear those big? And whether it's cello, whether it's bass, it doesn't matter. You can just address it so they're aware. And yeah, the better teacher also shows them maybe some footage of those instruments, or at least has pictures of those instruments, because a lot of people are visual learners. So we already had the rhythm. The component that we're dealing with, so besides the rhythm, which of course is the drums, that's one of our 5 elements of music. The second element that's being played by the strings in this particular case would be our harmony. And a simple way to explain harmony, you can look up harmony and you're going to get for some people, it may come off as almost being a complex, convoluted type of definition. Very simply, to keep it really, really simple for anyone, is that your harmony is the background. Because it's not the key thing. Now, of course, at the beginning, it's setting the mood and it's setting the tone for what we're going to hear. And it works in conjunction with the rhythm. Not to be mistaken, rhythm and rhythmic instruments are not related to harmony. Now, the harmony instruments might be using rhythm to serve their purpose, but rhythm is rhythm. Okay? If I just, hit this mic like this. Oh, sorry. Okay. We didn't have any types of pitches that were moving around. Now I can hit it lightly. I can hit it hard. It's shaking all over the place. But rhythm is rhythm. And that's establishing patterns and establishing beats. The harmony will utilize rhythm, but the harmony's purpose is to serve as a background, a backdrop. And you can think of it this way: the harmony is there to be a supporting cast for what? Which has not come in yet. The harmony is going to be the supporting cast for what other element, which is really, really important. It's the most important element of all that I was talking about in all of my classes today. It was the big, big word, and it also ends in a Y. I'll even help you out with that. Hopefully you can get that element for me. What's the other element the harmony is going to support? Thank you very much, Sarah E. It supports the melody. So what's the melody? Very simply, if we talk about the melody is going to be the main part. You can explain the melody as being the lyrics. You can just simply call it the tune. Now, yes, I'm simplifying it. And I know that there are going to be musical purists out there that are going to hate that. But here's what I know. I know, having taught for all these years, if you start off very simple and you start to explain some of these terms to the students, you can then expand on this discussion in your ensuing lessons. You can come back to this particular music. Okay, you can come back to the music and be able to say, okay, so we have the melody, we have the harmony, we have the rhythm, we have these two other ones, which we'll get into in just a moment, and go even further and discuss different aspects of melody and harmony and rhythm. Talk about a big word in rhythm like syncopation. If we're talking about harmony and you're perhaps at the high school level, you can talk about harmonic progressions, getting into all the different chords. When we're talking about melody, the way that we're going to have different types of shapes, different types of contours, where you don't even have to put it in music notes. Today I played the Bach Prelude in C major from the Well-Tempered Clavier, book number 1. And the da 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 da, that particular tune. And what we simply did, we were just analyzing how many notes were we able to figure out were in that main pattern, and the answer is 8. Yes, first graders were able to do that, and we had a great time with it. To quickly address this question, because I don't want to forget a Tinting's question: medley and melody, what's the difference? Your melody is your main part, the lyrics, the tune. A medley is a collection of different pieces or songs. An example of a medley would be, for instance, let's say, right now, for instance, our theme for our marching band in our school district, one of the well, actually, it's quite dominant in the opener of our show this year, is the music from Rocky, the movies. If you were to write a medley you could write a medley that would start off with the Rocky theme, dum dum da da dum da da dum da da dum, and then you could go into the training montage, the training music that Rocky uses in either Rocky 1 or Rocky 2. Then you could transition and move into Eye of the Tiger, and then for perhaps Rocky 4, you could use I Feel Good when James Brown is singing it, or you could play Burning Heart, which is a popular a tune in that particular movie. If you put all of them together and you made a nice seamless transition from one to another, that would be a medley. Not too far off from we have these different types of mashups that you can do, and they're not exactly the same thing. The medley really is just one tune into the other, where they usually they're related in some type of way. Medleys are very, very common for musicals, for instance, like Broadway musicals. So hopefully that helps you out. And Jared, you're absolutely correct. Bill Conti made a lot of money just on that movie alone. I think he was able to very, very safely retire with all the money, the royalties he gets every single time that all the Rocky films are played, and that's pretty much 24/7 on the TV. Okay, so let's go on with our song, and again, we only got so far, so here we're going to pick it up where I left off, and here we go again. Eyes of Glory. Did we hear a melody? That's my question. We don't even need to worry about what instruments may or may not have played it. Did we hear a melody there? Was there a melody? Based on what we have heard so far, did we have a melody that entered the picture? What are your thoughts? And if you think you heard a melody, what was possibly playing the melody? Okay, so 2 people think yes, that there was some type of melody. Anybody else? Okay, so there's still that tension, which we're going to get into in a minute. And the tension is related to all the different instruments acting as one, all coming together. Okay, so in this particular case, we do have a melody. The melody, and the reason why Mabel is mentioning more of a rising tension, the tension is you might be hearing the fact that it has a dramatic type of sound. This particular piece of music is absolutely in minor, is in a minor key, and a lot of people will say right away, well, major is happy and minor is sad. That's just wrong. It's just not true. I don't know why so many people say that. Major typically is happy, but minor, it can be sad, but more often than not, minor tends to be dramatic. And that's what's going on here is we have a very, very, it's very serious. It's very, very stoic. It's trying to make a clear point. And this is not one of those types of tunes where you're sitting back and you're smiling. The only reason you might be smiling would be that there is, I don't know, maybe you're waiting for somebody to be destroyed here or something with maybe if you had this type of music that was set to a video game, which would certainly be it would be very, very effective here. So let's take a listen to that melody again. Let's go back to the beginning. All right. So isn't that interesting? Da, da. Now, some people would say, well, that's not a melody. That's fair. You could say that is more harmonizing. So it's possible that could be another harmony that's being thrown in. Let's keep on listening to see, was that truly a melody, or is there something else going on in the music? So let's hear the next section. Da, 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 da. It sounds to me that we did have a medley before, and this is another, did I say medley? If I did, I apologize. We did have a melody before, and this is another melody. Do you notice how simple these melodies are? And it goes to show there are, I never understand why so many composers feel this need to just go crazy with so many notes in their music when less is more. And I've discussed that before in one of my previous videos. I talked about conducting and conductors that go completely crazy with their gestures. And if you just keep things very, very simple, then you're fine. And people who go completely crazy when they're composing and they try to put as many notes as humanly possible on the page, that doesn't make it better. In a lot of cases, it makes it worse, makes it a lot worse. This composer has taken a lot less, taken some very basic elements and put it together. Do we think we've heard this somewhere before? Yeah, it kind of sounds like it's music that we've heard somewhere before, but it is original. Maybe you not necessarily using all original thoughts in terms of the duh, 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 duh. I mean, that's certainly been used before. It's not copyrighted, but the combination of harmonies. Now, the composer can also check, because now in 2019, you can take any composition, you could put it online and see if the music that you composed is actually a copyright infringement. You can certainly do that. Did I blatantly rip off someone else's composition? Because if you're looking to try to profit off of your creation, that's going to pose a big issue for you, especially if you're going to put it on the internet or on a place like YouTube where the music gets flagged immediately. So, okay, all right. So let's keep on listening. Let's see if we have any more melodies in here. Da, 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 da. Okay, so that melody, and again, very, very basic, but effective. So we already have the melody, we have the harmony, we have the rhythm. There are two other elements. Well, one of the elements we've been hearing the entire time. Can somebody figure out what is what are one of the two remaining elements that we have not addressed yet? And we've been hearing these elements the entire time, and this one element it clearly tells the listener what type of music you are about to hear. Within the first few seconds, almost instantaneously, you're going to be able to figure it out by this particular element. What is it? So it's not melody, it's not harmony, and it's not rhythm. I will tell you that all three of those are impacted by this one element. This one element impacts melody and harmony and rhythm. And a lot of you right now are overthinking this because you're thinking tempo, and tempo goes into rhythm. And you're thinking pitch, and pitch has to actually do with melody. Now, Sarai says structure. We're going to get to structure in just a moment because that's a separate element, which we'll get to in just a moment. Dynamics. Dynamics get tricky because the dynamics in a lot of ways are almost like a sixth element. They're somewhat incorporated into the other elements in a weird kind of way. The melody, the harmony, and of course the rhythm. But the dynamics can also be done for other types of effects. And one of those types of effects, in terms of loud and soft, has to do with the emotional impact. Whether a type of music is louder and it's being done for that particular purpose to incite someone and to get someone all riled up because the music is loud, as opposed to softer music that can be a little more gentle. They're still overthinking things. I see texture here. We're getting into very, very big words. Think really, really basic. Really, really basic. You're overthinking this. What's the one thing that we need to produce music? I don't want to give away the answer. I just it's hard. It's very hard for me to say it without giving away the answer. What do we need to be able to produce music? To produce music. In order to create the melody, in order to create the harmonies, in order to create the rhythms, you need what? What do you have to have? Thank you. There it is. Ding, ding, ding. The light bulb goes off. And what we do is we take that word instruments and we're actually going to wrap it up into this element, which is simply known as your tone color. The colors of your sounds, the colors of the tones. Think of tone color, and this is a great way to bridge it into your lesson plans. Think of tone colors just like the colors that you would find in artwork. So we've talked about this particular artwork before, why we know that this does not appear to be a painting that you would find associated and you would think to yourself, that looks like the summertime or that looks like the winter. A lot of people will associate this with either the spring or autumn, and more likely autumn. Why? Because of the trees. If you notice the trees, we have that orange brown type of tint to them. They're changing colors, and we can still see what appears to be the grass is still there, and meaning it's not the seasons haven't changed, and we have not entered winter. We don't see any snow on the ground, so we've pretty much established. But how did we do all that? The artist Lee Reynolds, who created this painting, is able to establish that with the colors. Well, in terms of music, your colors are established by the instruments. If I want to play a piece of music that's going to have, for lack of a better word, sounds that are more gentle, just very, very easy, very, very relaxed, what instruments would probably be most effective if we wanted to create those calm and those gentle sounds? What are instruments that come to mind? Okay, I'll get you certainly started with one of the most basic of all, of course, which is piano. Okay, so that's a really easy one. Piano, of course, can be very comforting. Alexa, excellent. The flute. Okay. Played by the flute, which is Peer Gynt by Edvard Grieg. So, and that is a morning. La 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 la. That whole thing where you're imagining the birds and everything. Well, what's the instrument that they chose? They didn't choose the trombone to blast it out. It chose the flute. Okay, for a reason. It wasn't done by an electric guitar. Okay, acoustic guitar is certainly a great way to go. You can think of, for instance, the oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the piece, but Joaquin Rodrigo, the blind composer, wrote a terrific guitar concerto, and the name of the concerto is completely escaping me right now, but it is there are many components of it that are very, very calm when the guitar is playing, or you can just hear the acoustic guitar all by itself. So let's see what other instruments we have here. A harp, without a doubt. Okay, harp is actually an excellent instrument. In terms of xylophone, I think a better choice than xylophone would probably be the marimba. The marimba has the same similar bars to the xylophone, but it has a warmer type of sound. And certainly the marimbas that have the wooden bars really have a very, very calm type of sound. one particular piece I think Jared is familiar with is if you want to listen to a terrific piece for marimba, "Yellow After the Rain," and I'm forgetting the composer off the top of my head, but "Yellow After the Rain" is a very, very popular audition piece, and it's terrific for just in terms of just being a very, very calm and soothing work. French horn when played correctly. Big amen to that. My goodness, when played correctly. French horn is incredible because French horn, it's really in so many ways one of the most versatile instruments because it can be so calm. And if you think about one piece that comes to mind is the Brahms horn trio, the trio for horn, violin, and piano. Outstanding piece, one of my favorite pieces of all time. And the French horn just does it all. There are spots where the French horn is just so calm and so soothing, and then other times that the French horn is just very regal and much more aggressive and exciting. So certainly a lot of things to think. Thank you, Mitchell Peters. I appreciate that. You know what? A tinting, I have to do that, and I like that idea. And I am not going to do that tonight. A tinting, I am going to do that for next episode. And a tinting, I'm going to speak to you about that because if you are not aware, he is a composer and he has done an amazing job with the things that he's composed. And I definitely would like to play one of his compositions. So I will do that to open next episode without a doubt. And we can check it out because he deserves for his hard work to be put on display. So I can absolutely do that for you, my friend. Okay, ukulele, definitely ukulele, very, very calm, very soothing. All right, now we're gonna switch gears. Give me instruments that are aggressive in nature. An aggressive instrument, an instrument that's going to be loud, is going to be in your face. Give me those types of instruments. What instruments we're going to use? Absolutely electric guitar. Thank you, Zalos. Appreciate that. And I played some electric guitar in class today. My students, I think, are still in shock, and especially the things that the electric guitarist was able to do. No, the electric guitarist I chose was not Jimi Hendrix. It was not Eddie Van Halen. I chose Joe Satriani. Joe Satriani is just one of the greatest guitar players of all time. He is just the man. And the name of the piece I played in class today is called Headless. Kind of a morbid name for a piece, but I think the impression of somebody running around without a head. But the electric guitar sounds are incredible. Okay, let's see what we have. Drums. Okay, good. So certainly the drums they're gonna be a very impactful instrument. Trombone, tuba, and the tuba actually is a little more soothing than some of the other instruments. The reason why some instruments like the trombone and the trumpet, and I don't have them handy with me right now, but the trumpet and the trombone are very, very effective because they are cylindrical instruments. What does that mean? It means that the tubing the whole time, there we go, the tubing the entire time, think of a cylinder. Okay, so if you're looking at my microphone here, it's basically in the shape of a cylinder. It's not really changing at all from top to bottom. Okay, think of it like a soda can. So a soda can would be a cylinder. Well, instruments that are cylindrical, like a trumpet or a trombone, the air can get out so quickly. It's so direct that it produces a very, very well. It produces just a very, very loud sound, as opposed to the French horn or the euphonium, baritone horn, or the tuba, where you start off with a small opening and by the end it's huge, especially the French horn. The French horn, it's I always say it's like a pea shooter at the beginning, and by the end, the bell at the end of a French horn is equal to the size of a euphonium. It's bigger than a trombone bell, and that's incredible, which is why the French horn can actually serve both roles. French horn can be a very, very smooth and beautiful instrument, and that's not to say that a trumpet can't. And so can a trombone, but the French horn, it can certainly have that smooth sound. Then all of a sudden, it can just get that edge. And boy, when you hear that French horns with that real edge, where it's almost like that blary sound, it just still sounds great. It's such an amazing, incredible sound. Upright basses, cellos, the gong. That's a terrific one to use. Uh, I play the guitar. No, believe me, you do not want to see me play a guitar. You don't want to see me play a guitar, a flute, or the piano. We avoid those instruments at all costs. Yeah, I can do a little bit of playing, but not much. Those are better in the hands of others. So timpani, absolutely. All right, so we're doing a great job here. So we now have established we've established 4 different elements, and we're just going to do a quick review for those of you who have just jumped in. Ooh, didgeridoo. Wow, the didgeridoo. What a cool instrument. The didgeridoo is an instrument. It comes from Australia, associated with Australia, and it has that wow, 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 wow type of sound. It's just a really awesome sound. So definitely check out the didgeridoo. It's just great it's a great instrument for effect. Okay, so far we have, in the order that I usually present them in class, I usually will say melody first, and then we get into harmony, and then of course rhythm, and then the 5th one I have is tone color. So what I'll do in the class to help the students out, I'll often put an M. If they're not sure, I'll even help them out. I'll put an M, and then an H, and then an R, and then the next one, and then a T, or I'll even put TC, and see if they can try to figure it out. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate the nice hair. Thank you, Natalia. Appreciate that. And hello, who else? I know there's a few other people that jumped in here. So Zelos, I appreciate you being here tonight. And Kay is also here. So hello to you. Okay, so we have that 5th element, and Sarai was on to it before. She had mentioned the word structure and organization, and that falls under an element called form. Form, simply put, is the organization of the piece. How is the piece organized? Okay, did I get the fade? You tell me. You be the judge. Did I get the fade? I'm pretty sure I got the fade. Very, very much so. So there it is. So the organization of the piece and how the entire thing is put together. Now, if we take this particular piece of music, what is the organization going to be of this piece? Well, before we answer that question, let's take a typical song. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about like a song that might be like a pop song. For instance, if we take if we take a song like "Sweet Child of Mine," that's mentioned above here. So, "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses. Yes, please help me out and confirm. I wanted to say Bon Jovi. It's not Bon Jovi though. "Sweet Child of Mine" is Guns N' Roses. Yes, please confirm in the chat. Help me out here. I don't have my stuff in front of me. I don't know why I would associate that with Bon Jovi. I know it's not Bon Jovi. It's Guns N' Roses. Okay, so but "Sweet Child of Mine" starts off with a verse, and then it moves on to a chorus. Oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet child of mine. So that's your chorus. Now, in that particular case, the way that the piece is organized, you have a verse. So that's A. And then you have a chorus. That's B. And then we have another verse, even if the words are different, if the melody is basically the same, it's another A. And then the chorus again would be B. So in that particular case, the form is just an alternating A, B type of form. There might be an instrumental solo in there. We would consider that section C. In my class today, one of the pieces that I played, I had mentioned before that I played the Bach Prelude in C major from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 1. and the da 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 da. I played that in class, and we analyzed it and we discussed it and talked about the different talked about the patterns associated with it and the pitches and how it's 5 notes that go up, and then the last 3 notes are repeated notes that we previously heard. So it's actually 5 different pitches that are done over an 8 note pattern. And what actually happens in that piece, if you go a step further, what makes that melody work is it's not the repetition of those notes, it's the harmony. The harmony is changing, those chords keep changing, which is why that piece is absolute gold. It's complete magic. Bach was just totally the man. The second piece I played to switch it up, it was jazz. It was In the Mood, Glenn Miller, the Glenn Miller Orchestra. And in that particular example, we are able to, and my students don't know this yet, but when we get into form, we're going to actually analyze the piece and which sections are the A sections and the B sections, and so on and so forth. So we're going to get into how it's organized. Now, in this particular piece that we started off with, The Eyes of Glory, so we put it back on from the beginning. All right, take it from the beginning. Here we go. Now, if the music went back to just drums only, so just returned to the drums, then it would be structured in such a way where we could almost say like the beginning section was almost like an A section, or and not considered to be the introduction. Form can be really, really difficult. But in this particular case, that's not what the composer does. He continues, and what he's doing is he is continuing to just add layers and increase the intensity of the music. So let's hear what he does here. He doesn't return to just the drums before re-entering the melody. He continues to intensify. Okay, so now we have 3 different things that we've heard so far. So one thing we could say is, well, we heard section A, we heard section B, we heard section C. The problem is that when the music keeps on doing that, as you're going to hear now, I think the next section is almost like a section D. Right. Da, 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 da. So next section. Ilianis, hello to you. So if you really get down to it, what was going on, we had section A, then section B, then section C, then it was different again. It was section D, section E, section F. When that happens in music and all the sections are completely, totally different from one another, and the music just continues to go, this is a technique called through composing. I'm going to put a hyphen here. I can't remember if the hyphen is in there or not. But a through composed piece means that the piece just continues to go. It doesn't have repeated sections per se. You just don't have that. The music just continues to go from start to finish, and you might hear some things from time to time, but not enough evidence that a particular section is being repeated. It doesn't mean that the piece is not is unorganized. An example: if you listen to a type of piece, for instance, one of my favorite pieces of all time, "Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima," by Krzysztof Penderecki. That particular piece is a through composed piece, and it certainly doesn't sound like it's organized. And Jared is laughing because Jared obviously knows that piece, but that's a through composed piece, and it's absolutely organized. But it doesn't really have it. It's not. It's again, section A, section B, section C, section D, section E, section F, and when that happens, where it's just one section after another where they just keep on changing, then it's a through composed piece. But if the sections are comparable, then we can do it as such. Sometimes with a piece of music, for instance, if I think about Mars by Gustav Holst from The Planets, in a very, very broad scope, you can kind of think of that entire piece of music as it's almost like a gigantic A followed by a gigantic B followed by a gigantic A. You can somewhat think of it that way with the code, of course, at the end. And that piece of music, what was it, 8-9 minutes long or so? It's a long piece of music. So you can think of the sections in a very, very broad sense. So there's a lot of things you can do with form. I have to be very honest with you. I don't go terribly crazy in music classes with form. I certainly will explain it, but I think it gets a little bit out of control when you're getting to the point of going into sonata allegro form with third graders. And it's not to underestimate their intelligence. You have to say at the end, how important is it that an 8-year-old knows what sonata allegro form is when we still have to introduce all the different instruments? We have to make sure that they have a steady beat and they understand how to read and write music, with so many things that need to be done throughout the course of a school year. When you find yourself obsessing over, again, the minutia, and that's what we have to be very careful of. There's we as music teachers can take these different elements, and you have to be very careful that you don't go too far. We, in our hearts, we love to do that, but you always have to remember that you're the teacher, and just because it's something that you love to do doesn't mean that you have to, as my kids say, be extra and go completely overboard with everything, down to the very, very nitty gritty. Now, with this piece of music, that's essentially what I did here. The way that I analyzed this one piece of music, here we are, an hour and nearly 10 minutes into the episode, and all I did was just analyze one piece of music. I would never ever do that even with middle schoolers. I wouldn't even do that with high schoolers. That might be a little bit of a stretch. I would probably go into multiple classes depending on the kids in that particular class. And if it's a class where it's just a music appreciation class, the answer is probably no. But if it's a music theory class, that might be a little bit different. So these 5 elements of music, there are so many different things that we can do. It is so important that you as a teacher, you as a musician, that you're using this vocabulary and not just saying, "Oh, I like the lyrics." You can sound like a musician. You could say, "I really enjoy the melody," and I love the harmony that I'm hearing. Those instruments in the background are just so amazing, and that's got a really, really cool rhythm. I hear from too many people way too often. You'll say to somebody, "Why do you like this piece of music?" And the most common answer I get from people is, "I like the beat." What does that mean exactly? Because most music, almost all music, has some type of beat. and I'm not going to say all, because there are pieces of music where the beat is not firmly established. If I could not take the Bach prelude in C major today and ask students to start clapping their hands to it. That's a not an easy piece to be able to do that. Dee da 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 da, and to go like this the entire time, or go. I mean, you could. That's okay, but that's not really the best piece to do that. Now, if we were doing something like the In the Mood, da 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 dum bum 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 ba da 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 dum bum ba da 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 da, and then when we got into the first stanza, I was, even when the kids were listening to it, I in the background, ba da 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 da, ba da 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 da. Okay, and doing the snap on 2 and 4, and I didn't explain that to the kids. I didn't explain what I was doing there. I could have. I'm going to explain it next week, though. I'm going to say, hey, do you remember when I was doing that? And talk a little bit about why we would do that in jazz. So there's so many different directions to go. At any rate, you guys were, as always, absolutely amazing, and I know that there were a lot of people today who had their first day of school. There were a lot of people who have a lot of things going on now with the start of the school year. Even if you're a parent, or even just, I think, the fact that the summer is over and now we're back to work. I think all of us right now, and people have different mindsets, and the fact that you took your time tonight to spend with me, I greatly appreciate that. As always, it's a complete, total blessing. So the amazing, incredible Alice is doing her thing right now. So let's take a look. We have lots of different people here, and still going through the whole thing here, mixing things up a little bit. And we're almost ready for a drum roll. So hopefully there are going to be some people that are going to be ready, getting their drum rolls all set here as we wrap up tonight's episode. Again, I'm hoping that I'll be having an episode very, very soon where I'll be doing the cooking for you. I'm going to try to do that next week. I will tell you that, again, next week, a Tinting V, who is a regular a subscriber, regular listener, is going to certainly play one of his pieces to kick off the podcast episode. So I thank him in advance, and I'll work with him and figure out what piece he would like to be played, and I'll make sure to play it, and not just play it for a little while. I'm going to play it in its entirety. So that'll be very, very exciting for all of us, especially to be able to premiere a piece of a fellow listener. Okay, we have our drum rolls all set, folks. Ready for a $15 Amazon gift card that we do. Once again, as always, good luck trying to find that live podcast that does what we do every single week and also throws out that Amazon gift card every single week. You know what? Hey. Natalia, there we go. Yes, I like that. I like that idea. It's almost like oh my goodness, what's his name? Gordon Ramsay. Oh, why am I forgetting the name of the show? What's the name of the show? Can you help me out here? I'm completely forgetting the name of the show. Gordon Ramsay. What is his show? No, not Ramsay Dufresne. Oh, you're killing me here. What's the name of the show? There's a name of the show that he does. Hell's Kitchen. Thank you. I couldn't remember it. Okay. If you haven't seen Hell's Kitchen, boy, you're I don't know if you're living in I don't know where. I'm not sure, but you need to definitely tune into that. And as always, please, and I've said this so many times, Natalia, retype what you just typed, Natalia, but just clean that up a little bit for me. You put something terrific, but do me a favor, please, Natalia. Just retype what you're going to type. I can see it. The listeners couldn't see it, and that'll help me out, because I want you to be able to your comment to be heard. So at any rate, Yeah, the that whole concept of Hell's Kitchen. But again, if you're especially if you're having that bad day, if you're having that bad day, turn on Impractical Jokers. You have to do that, please. I'm just going to promote them on here because they're just awesome. Every time, if you're having that just not so great day, just put them on. There's going to be some type of ridiculous thing that they're doing, and a lot of their clips now, they've gotten them down to like 2 minutes or so. Just put them on and just sit back and laugh at their utter ridiculousness. They're just amazing. So, okay, we need a listener. So here we go. A drum, a roll, a please. Mabel, you have won the $15 Amazon gift card. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. It's been some time. Mabel is a very, very faithful listener, and I think on a long time ago and has been here week in, week out. And after all the RRLs, L's, and all the drums on the screen, Mabel has reclaimed a $15 Amazon gift card. Got one a long time ago, but my friends, did you like the episode already? Did you enjoy this? Was this a good episode? Was this fun? Did you show the love below? Did you do the thumbs up? Did you take care of business? Did you get it done? Oh wow, you heard what I just did there. My friends, I do ask on a very serious note, please be safe tomorrow. There's obviously going to be some residual effects that are going to be coming in with this hurricane to the northeastern uh, portion of the United States, and absolutely our friends on the East Coast. We're certainly thinking about you, and hopefully all of you are safe along the coast with what is a brutal storm. So please be safe out there. Those of you who have outdoor events, i.e. football games, have a great time over the weekend, especially if it's going to be tomorrow. Looks like we're going to be dealing with a lot of rain, a lot of wind. So if you are going to be heading out to football games, spread the word to others to be prepared and to dress appropriately because the weather is probably not going to be too great. Looks like we're not going to be even cracking 70 degrees tomorrow. So looks like kind of a blech type of day. But, it was not a blech type of day today. This was a great day. Thank you again for being a part of getting it done and doing what you do every single week. And with that, I just have one last word. Do you happen to know what that last word is? You might know. Maybe you can help me out. All it takes is one person to put it in the chat. And the second you put it in the chat, all of a sudden it's going to happen. And this episode is going to end. Peace.